I hope that when people ask you about, like, what is it that you like about F1, and then you're just like, this, and it's just Pirelli tire graphics.
Nicole, I am devastated that we're supposed to have a wet quali again. I just want to be able to evaluate these upgrades. And the best way to do that is in qualifying, and we can't do it right now, and I'm still frustrated.
And it's gonna rain, like, all weekend.
Woo! So, before we give our predictions, and since we already have it locked in, so we're not given any advantages anywhere, we have the Pirelli tire graphic, which is my favorite thing to look at all week. So, I will point out that this race, if you look at the amazing... Oh, if you're listening, you can head over to YouTube, see this, but if not, head to Pirelli's Motorsport, Twitter, Instagram, etc., any of their social media accounts on their website, and you can look at this graphic with us. But compared to last week, there's a lot more stress on the rear of the car this week. And right now, if there's more tire stress, that is bad for Ferrari and bad for Aston, better for Mercedes. You'll notice I'm not talking about Red Bull because it doesn't matter. The other thing I'll bring up is that this is one of the circuits on the calendar that I think has the most, one of the most collections of different types of corners. There's slow speed corners, there are medium speed corners, and there are fast corners, and there's also 3 really long straights. So it's one of those tracks that will evaluate overall performance. So you'll see Mercedes probably doing decently well at the fast twisty part of the track, which is the end of Sector 2 and the beginning of Sector 3, and then you'll see Red Bull fast everywhere, and you might see like a Williams really fast on the 3 straights. I know, it's really great analysis when I just get to say that you'll just see Red Bull fast everywhere because they're Red Bull.
They're fast.
Right. It is... I do think people are still relatively positive about the Ferrari power unit performance. Like, the straight lines with the right-hand turns, like, is something that theoretically should favor Ferrari. So, like, Ferrari did well at Baku. Ferrari's pace, even though they messed up in qualifying, was decent last weekend in Canada. So, if we're taking Red Bull out of the equation, you should see Ferrari decently well, like, compared to Mercedes with the right-hand turns, where Mercedes will do much better in the flowing bits of it all. And Aston kind of lives somewhere between the extremes of Ferrari and Mercedes traditionally. But this is also the shortest track for time on the calendar because it's really just, it's fast. It's the fast straights and it's the fast corners in the middle. So that's my I love the Pirelli graphic discussion. Did I miss anything, Nicole, that's worth talking about?
You nailed it. They really did nail it. It'll definitely be an interesting circuit. Definitely one of a kind. So I think...
No rain, please, no rain.
Unfortunately, for it. We won't be seeing those softs for very long, if at all.
If this is your first grid walk, the reason I keep screaming for no rain is because Red Bull controls its pace so much in the Grand Prix because it just needs to go faster than everyone else. It doesn't need to go its fastest. But in qualifying, we get a preview of how fast the Red Bull is and how close everyone is to the Red Bull. And if it's rainy and an interrupted crazy session, we don't get that. And I just want to know, like, are we talking 2 seconds? Are we talking a half a second? Are we talking a couple tenths? Like, how much closer do teams get to Red Bull? And we're not going to know if it rains.
Can you zoom in? What's the lap record? Is that Carlos 2020?
Yes.
1 minute. 5 seconds. Oh, that's scary. Yeah, that's so scary to think about what the RB19 could do if that was Carlos Sainz 3 years ago.
In the McLaren, yeah. I believe, I can't remember if this is the qualifying lap record or the in-race lap record, but I think it's qualifying.
Yeah, that would make more sense, but that would be scary to see Red Bull do that in qualifying if it was dry.
Yeah, so it needs to be dry, and, oh gosh, just I want it to be dry. But yeah, it's a really short lap, which also means that in qualifying, again, if it's dry, that we're going to see, like, drivers get to do multiple laps. It's also a sprint race this weekend, and, you know, I don't think the sprint is long enough in order to actually create any tire degradation, but I'm relatively optimistic, at least, that Pirelli brought the 3 softest compounds in hopes that maybe some of them degrade during the sprint race. And if that is the case, then maybe we'll have... I'm not even going to put that out there. The sprint is going to be boring, but, like, we get 2 qualifying sessions. Maybe one of the qualifying sessions won't be wet. That, you know what, we have the sprint shootout, and maybe the sprint shootout will come in clutch and not be wet, please.
Fingers crossed, at least one of them. Pretty please, no wet. Really hope so.
Let's make some predictions. Update on where we are. Last week we were both right that Max won and nothing else, but it didn't matter because Alex Albon was P7, so I was happily wrong in all of our predictions. A reminder that we do predictions, like our season ends at summer break, and then we reset back to 0, so I think I'm up by about 20 points right now, but we have 4 races to go.
I feel like it has to be more, but we'll take that.
Yeah. We also do sprint week picks that are slightly different. So start with the sprint because in the weekend is
first.
Yeah. All right. So these are a little different than our normal picks. We're going to start with what team do you think is going to score the most points during the sprint? And spoiler alert, what Nicole and I both did was how low does Checo need to finish for the answer to not be Red Bull? So Nicole, did you decide that the answer here is Red Bull, or do you think Checo is going to finish below that threshold?
I put Aston Martin because what do I have to lose?
So I also went not with Red Bull because it felt fun, but I put Mercedes.
I knew it.
Yeah. So George Russell, finish above Checo is really what we're talking about here. No, but in serious analysis, I think of all the top teams, and I think Ferrari is the fourth top slowest team, so I'm not counting them. So of the 3 top performing teams, Mercedes duo is collectively performing the best right now. So, but I think, Alonso, I don't know. But I'm glad we both didn't pick Red Bull.
No, the PEMDAS that I was doing Aston Martin math and Mercedes math and trying to do all of those things. So I was like, okay. And then just went with Aston. Something different. I don't remember who I picked last time. Probably Red Bull, so.
We both picked Red Bull.
We both picked Red Bull,
yeah. And we were both right.
Yeah.
All right. So then, who do we think is going to be the last to receive the Goofy Sprint medal? So P3, last on the podium. Who do you got?
I have Lewis.
Oh, I was going back and forth, but I have Alonso.
Okay, that's very, that's.
Which makes sense with our other points, because I'm assuming you mentally had Alonso finishing P2, which is why you picked Aston Martin for the most points, and I mentally have Lewis finishing P2, which is why I have Mercedes for the most points. All right, finishing this out. Math, that's what this all is. Finishing this out with, who do you think is going to be last in the points for the sprint, which is P8?
So, in my P8, I am doing some, I guess you would, driver math that would cause other drivers in the top 4 to not be there for where I have this, because in my P8, I have Esteban.
God, I do too. Yes, I do too. God, I thought I was being so like, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw in Esteban because something's gonna happen to someone in the top 8. That's gonna be fun.
I'm in your head.
Bestie.
Although I need to have different choices than you to beat you, but you know what? Sometimes
this is good for me strategy wise, but not as fun for me week to week wise.
But this is, again, we did that same math. We did the math of if a Red Bull falls, so who do we want to go in that makes sense?
I mean, I think Checo will still be in the points.
Yeah,
but I think an engine might explode, or I just think it's more likely for something to happen than not. But now I'm even saying that out loud, and the sprint isn't long enough for something to happen. So, but whatever. SC points make me happy.
I agree.
No. All right. So Grand Prix predictions, the same ones we normally do. Nicole, did you do this big scary thing and pick anyone for P1 not named Max Verstappen?
Because I don't want to stop your heart like you did to me the last time we did this. No, Max is still in my P1. It's been the same typed out Max in all caps since the first race on this sheet. I haven't changed it at all. Yeah. No jokes here.
Someone needs to prove to me otherwise until I change it. Yes, same.
Yeah. So who do you have as your just missing the podium in P4?
Checo.
Okay.
I think Checo will have a less awful weekend and will end up P4 in the Grand Prix. That's my prediction.
I have Fernando.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Fernando off the podium.
I did, and I hope he's
I hope for it.
Mercedes in front of him. But yeah, no, I have him in my P4 of just missing the podium. There's just something about it that just feels good when I decide that.
You do. Yeah. All right, who do you have in your P7?
In my P7, to go off of my P8 continued pick, I have Esty Bestie finishing P7 in the race. Ooh, I'm being very optimistic, but that's what I'm going with here, because as I continue with my picks, there is a certain team that I am not acknowledging. As I said, I would no longer acknowledge them in my picks, so I'm picking Esteban in P7.
You're not picking Alex Albon to repeat?
No.
I went with Lance.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I will always be rooting for him to be higher. I don't think if of the top 8 cars, I don't think he will be the 8th this weekend.
Yeah, it's that Aston, as you were saying before. It's like the possibility of him falling right in between the
team you will not name.
Yeah, as I was about to. I was like, they can't. I'm not going to say them. Horses. Okay. And then we have for P10, last in the points this week. Who are you hoping or predicting?
Okay, this one was really hard.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult every week. But I think I'm going to go with Alex Albon.
I also went with Alex Albon.
Because I don't think what happened last week was a fluke. And I think there's 3 long straights, and I think the upgrade did really help. And, but I do think you can pass better here than in Canada. I honestly even regret saying it out loud.
I picked Alex. I, again, was going with, then I'll say it, I avoided Ferrari like the plague here, so I filled in accordingly, and I also agree with you. I don't think Alex's P7 was a fluke. I think, again, it's a testament to what we said about his skill as a driver, and if he can make some magic happen, that magic can get him in the points, and this circuit, I think, gives him the ability in place to do so.
And Williams seems so willing to give him a off strategy to try to make something happen, which I can't say for a lot of the teams that are fighting for the back of the points there. So they're willing to do something bold, and it could work out, or it could not, right? Because that's what the reality of bold is. I will say that the other driver I had in this position was Yuki, because I think as much as that AlphaTauri is bad, like Yuki's been able to put in some incredible performances, and I think Canada was actually more of a fluke for Yuki not being in contention for those points there than it being a fluke for Williams to be there. But that leads into what team do I think in the bottom half of the standings is going to score the most points this week? And I decided to go with AlphaTauri.
Okay, and I decided to go with Williams because I usually like to split.
It's going to be
here.
McLaren.
Yeah, it's going to be
because
McLaren
it's the week we didn't pick McLaren.
Yep, and I was really like, and every time I'm like, I feel like I'm always picking Alex in my P10, and then I'll pick McLaren as like, and I'll be like, one of these will hit and make me, get me points and make me feel good, or like Alex has points, and this time I'm going all in. I believe in Alex Albon. I believe in Albon Pets. I believe. Thank you for watching this highlight from episode 23 of Gridwalk. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more F1 videos and a ton of F1 fun. Also, you made it this far into the video. Why not watch the rest of the podcast? Because the full thing's right here. Ready? Click with me. Ready? Click here. Click, 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 click.